So a quick video for today, and this is something I've been struggling with for a little while because there's this sense that we hold on too strong. You know, we're holding on to something which hurts us, and when we let go, when we stop resisting, that's when life gets so much easier. And you know, we hold on to these identities, we hold on to this idea that we're somehow better than where we are. We have these existential crises, and I've been reading about Taoism. I've listened to Dr. Wayne Dyer's interpretation of the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and there are some similarities between Zen and Taoism. And if you're a Zen expert or a Taoism expert, then please be kind in your criticism of this, because I'm a newbie to all of this. But from what I understand, Tao is the way of life, it's the way of nature, this energy that just transforms the seasons. It's just the kind of constant ongoing process of life, and there's nothing more to it than that. And this is something that developed in China, has influences in India, and the poor agricultural classes turned to Taoism because it was quite brutal, you know, turning over the soil, growing the crops in the freezing cold of winter, in the boiling heat of summer. And when you start to think, I am better than this, why is life so hard, why am I being punished, why is it so unfair, it's essentially you're holding on too long. And Taoism is about letting go and just letting it be. And Zen, there is a similarity with Zen, but with Zen there's an essence that through meditation and through letting go we receive answers, and we are able to receive visions and find our way in the world and our way in other worlds by embracing a kind of spiritual and contemplative approach to making your tea, or just being, or just sitting in silence. Whereas Taoism is the same thing. It's about being, but it doesn't have any of that kind of spiritual aspect to it. It's just about being, because there is a way of life, and just follow it, kind of go with the flow if you like. But in Zen there's this kind of spiritual aspect, and we can borrow from that because we hold on so tight and we get so frustrated. We get, you know, especially in the workplace, where we hold on to things and they're hurting us, and we get upset with our colleagues, and we get upset with processes and things like that. But if we would just let it go, things would get a little bit easier, and we would become less wrapped up in ourselves, who we're meant to be, when actually we really start to find ourselves when we let go of all of these things that we're holding on to too much, holding on to too strongly. For example, I spent 10 years as a photographer, and I'm still a photographer, but I think what's confused people, I've started going on this kind of, I started doing videos like this, I've started writing books, I've started kind of trying to tackle some of the issues that I've had, things like depression, anxiety, things like that, that existential crisis. And I've kind of just really suddenly found this other way of being, and it's a much happier way of being, because I've let go of these things that I was so attached to, that I thought were part of my identity, but now I've realised they're actually hurting me. And the thing is, you know, you go on LinkedIn, and how do you say in your LinkedIn profile, I'm a photographer, but I'm also an author, I'm also a father, I'm also someone who enjoys reading books? You know, it's on LinkedIn you can only have one thing, and we define ourselves by one thing, and if we deviate from that, then we get kind of confused and lost, and we confuse the people around us because they measure themselves by the people around them, you know. And I've noticed I've lost a lot of followers on platforms like Instagram and things like that since I've started going on about this stuff, and that's really interesting because people don't know where to place me, and when they don't know where to place me, they kind of get stuck as to where to place themselves. And, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that people, their whole world is structured around me, but when things start to change around people, they start to question who they are. And there's a purification that comes from losing those followers. I'm not at all sad that I've lost those followers, because those followers, they weren't getting something from me. And what it represents is a purification of the people who are following me, because they're still interested. Well, okay, they might drop off, but it's not about the followers, and it's not about the likes. It's about finding your way and doing your thing. And to do that, and to really do that properly, you have to let go, and that's That's what I'm kind of going on about with this Zen stuff and this Taoist stuff that I've probably got completely wrong. But it's about letting go and finding your true self, which isn't defined by your job title. And there is a saying that, a tree is not a tree. The tree is just the word we give for that beautiful thing that's out there. And you are not any of the things you define yourself by. You're this kind of amorphous being who is, you're in human form, but that form, it comes in all shapes and sizes. But some people are small, some people are tall. Yet we try and pigeonhole ourselves when actually we're just these kind of spiritual blobs of wonderful things. And the more we try and put labels on ourselves, the more we're holding on too tight, because we cannot be labelled. And that is when we get this kind of existential angst going on. So sometimes you just got to let go. Just let go, and that's where we find ourselves, in that kind of unnamed void of incomprehensible wonder, a kind of gaseous cloud of identity that just says, I am this energy, you are that energy, let's just be energy together. All right, it's a bit of a rambling one. Hope it kind of makes sense, but just let go of who you think you're meant to be, and just be. All right, cheers.